Today we're going to be talking about writing paraprofessionals on the IEP. Before watching the rest of this video, please pause and read the article that is linked on the website. Once you read that article, you'll understand more about why it is that I'm making these recommendations. Also, you may want to print off the document, Writing Paras on the IEP, because that will kind of walk you through the process of what we're going to be talking about today. In that document, there are two situations when we are talking about paraprofessional support for students. The first situation is when a child has child-specific paraprofessional support. This is not necessarily a one-to-one para, but it's a situation where a child absolutely must have a paraprofessional with them because it would become a safety issue if that child did not have a paraprofessional. Think about the student that is likely to run out of the building, could tear the room apart very quickly, or has significant medical issues. These are situations, if you think about that you had a significant reduction in the number of paraprofessionals for some reason, and you absolutely had to have somebody with that child. That would be a situation where you would want to address child-specific paraprofessional support, which is here on the IEP. It is on the service page. Scroll down. That would be the time that you would indicate yes. You don't need to worry about this box here, but the second situation that we talk about is the one here, and then you could select that box. It does not impact the IEP at all. It just helps us generate reports, and we don't use reports from that. So if a child absolutely had to have a paraprofessional with them, then you would select yes. Now, in this scenario, we're going to be talking about Sam. Sam has significant behaviors, has regularly become very aggressive towards his peers and staff, and needs to have a paraprofessional with him anytime he's in the general education classroom. So then you would select from the box what type of paraprofessional would be available. For Sam, we have selected that he has behavior. Always lean towards a personal care attendant if you have behavior or transportation or other general types of needs. We would list personal care attendant. And the reason for that is because of third-party billing. And sometimes these students can come and go from third-party billing. So the other area that he needs would be some academic support. Then we would select where the location is. Typically, these services are only provided in the general education classroom because when they're in the special education classroom, usually we don't need the paraprofessional support because the teacher's there and it's a very small environment. But occasionally we would need to add a second box and address special education setting. Then you would indicate the frequency and estimate the number of direct minutes that that student is in the mainstream classrooms, and you would enter those minutes there. The duration and start date would be the same as you do on a typical service grid. And it is very important that you address in this box what are the specific responsibilities of a paraprofessional. Basically, this is their job description. Again, this is not the only time you would write a paraprofessional on the IEP. We'll talk about the second situation. For these, you do not need to worry about providing a provider number or a supervisor. You can leave those blank. Now, in the second situation, there are additional examples of pieces that you can write into that box in your writing paras on the IEP document that is attached. So you can look at those examples for more ideas of how to complete that box. Now, if a student needs a paraprofessional with them for general types of support, we'll often refer to that as a program paraprofessional. That time might be kind of variable. If they're watching a movie in the classroom, you're probably not going to have the paraprofessional need to stay in the classroom, that type of thing. Then we call that general support, and that's on page 2 of your attached document. How are you going to write that on the IEP? Well, you are never going to use the words paraprofessional anywhere on that document. Oftentimes people want to put that in the least restrictive environment. We don't need to put it in there. In the least restrictive environment, we need to just talk about why the child needs to have special education instruction and what they're missing when they're not in the general education classroom. It does not matter if they have a paraprofessional with them or not. We are just talking about if they are with their peers or they are not with their peers. Then the second place where we're going to address these needs is in the program accommodations and modifications. And if you notice, these are all pull downs that would apply to SAM that come out of right within SPED forms. And you'll notice that it regularly talks about school staff. School staff will positively reinforce SAM. School staff will implement the IEP behavior intervention plan. Staff will provide verbal prompts. The reason why we want to use this general terminology of school staff is we don't want to tie ourselves into situations when we really don't need a paraprofessional for the child. And ultimately, we want to always be working towards having the general education teachers provide these redirections and these prompts. However, there are certainly times that we do need to have paraprofessionals with students. However, this would be where you would just indicate what it is that a paraprofessional is doing. But it might be the paraprofessional, it might be the classroom teacher. We've had some situations where perhaps somebody wrote paraprofessional will positively reinforce SAM. Well, then when it came time that the general education teacher wanted to work with the more severely involved special education students and have the paraprofessional take the general education students and work with them on things, they said, no, we can't do that because the IEP says the paraprofessional has to reinforce SAM for on-task behavior. Well, that's frankly kind of silly. We want these highest involved students to have opportunities to receive instruction from the highest educated individuals, which would be the classroom teacher. So don't tie yourself into that. Leave it open to general school staff. Now, I know a lot of people get really nervous about not writing things on the IEP about the paraprofessional specific, because then they might cut the paraprofessionals and not look at where we want to tie ourselves in so that we don't end up losing those supports. I work very hard with administrators to not have it be that they're making decisions about how many paraprofessionals are needed based on what's on the IEPs, because we don't want to tie ourselves in. I've seen situations where we have paraprofessionals sitting in classrooms watching movies and the students are all just fine, but the IEP said that he had to have a paraprofessional with him in social studies and everybody was scared to change that, to not follow that. So don't tie yourself in by putting that in there. If they're watching a movie, the classroom teacher should certainly be able to monitor for behavior and some of those pieces. So we want to keep that as flexible as possible and not list paraprofessional on the IEP. Whatever you do, please do not list anywhere on an IEP paraprofessional and one-to-one or paraprofessional and two-to-one or something to that effect. It's very rare. It depends on the student's needs. I've seen some pretty highly involved students that really everybody considered needing one-to-one. Another student moves into the district and they really fit two-to-one, where they're able to work with two students at the same time. I've seen some highly involved behavioral students where paraprofessionals are able to use other students that need textbook read to them. They can read, the paraprofessional can read the textbook as well as be working with a fairly severely autistic student who likes to sit and watch and listen. There are really very rare times. The only time would be if we were dealing with a catheterization or some other type of medical that would require some privacy, that we would ever have a situation where a paraprofessional needs to work one-to-one. So it's a bit of a soapbox of mine. Please don't tie ourselves into that. Don't indicate that a paraprofessional is needed to do such and such, because there are always going to be periods of time of the day where the teacher can monitor, can read to the students, those types of things. So, so please only list the child-specific paraprofessional on this page if it really is a safety issue. I know this isn't always easy. I've made it as black and white as possible, but it is gray area. We are dealing with kids, so do the best you can with that. And let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to send me an email. Take care. Thanks.